Hey everyone, it's This is Justice Warriors with your host, Phan, who's still alive, and Lumpia
Hey
with me
guys.
today. So this is a variant episode today, and given the times, I don't want to talk about the, issues that the world is going through. I think a lot of people are stressed with the idea of either staying in, suffer from cabin fever, or the threat of your health being impacted. So do everything you can, folks, to stay healthy. Do everything you can for social distancing and all that stuff, but do what you can to keep your mind as sane as you can. Um, but that being said, I think the one thing that called out to me that I felt would need a little bit of more of a variant episode for discussion was the comic book industry. I know there's been a lot of articles out there that the virus that shall not be named has plunged the comic world into existential chaos. And so you've had many different folks from Bleeding Cool, CBR, all the way up to Daily Beast, and even Russia Today have even provided articles touching on the fact that the virus has affected the comic book industry. And as I had time to reflect going through after my move, after um, feeling a little bit under the weather myself, and thankfully getting healthy again, this topic has been very big, and it's been big about in the comics community as well, and YouTube and Twitter and things like that, where supply chains have been disrupted. Diamond Comics distributors, they
Yep.
basically shut down because of government mandates. Comic book stores have shut down, and as someone who's followed these things closely, comic book shops themselves kind of live check to check, so to speak. As we kind of talked in some earlier episodes, whereas 75% of the comic store was comic books, it's flipped to 75% of the store is almost T-shirts and pop toys. And given the fact that there's there's been this big thing of hashtag pencils down, a lot of creative artists, mainly in the mainstream DC Marvel space, have basically furloughed their artists and writers and everybody else. There's a lot of angst amongst the community of the freelance, mainly with the freelance community, where they have, their work is on hold, their checks are being held, and a lot of disruption. However, what I do notice, there is a community tapping into the Indiegogo Kickstarter crowd, and I know a lot of the consumers have unfortunately lost their paycheck, but there, for those who are fortunate to be on salary and not be affected, there's still money being tapped. And you see folks like Brian Polito, Ethan Van Sciver, all the other folks of left, right, middle of the side of the aisle. If you're successful and you have a good product on Indiegogo Kickstarter, they're doing well. And so before I move to the topic that I wanted to have a discussion with you, Lumpia, what's your thoughts on the comic book industry?
Well, I have many. You mean the comic book industry as of today?
Well,
Or
let me focus that. It's with this the industry in response to this virus. How do you think it's going? Do you think it's going to survive? Do you think it's not? Do you think they did this to themselves, or what do
I
you?
think it's in trouble. I mean, honestly, it's sad because I do think it's in trouble, and this is probably a situation that you never could have foreseen happening, but it did. But it shows the true like weakness of the industry in itself, because you know it took a big world global pandemic, as people call it, something so unprecedented, to show the true nature of how things are going. But what's worse is that a lot of people's lives are impacted, because of it, you really truly had starving artists. We met a few at Comic Cons. They're not living a lavish lifestyle. They're doing this because they enjoy it. They believe in what they create. They love the work and the artistry, and they put a lot of love into what they do. Um, so truly starving artists is the word when you kind of think about it, and not that they're starving, but like they're not glamorous and grandiose, like living lives like that. So
I feel the rock star Rob Liefeld.
they're not living the rock star Rob Liefeld.
Todd McFarlane, even though you prefer Todd over to Rob.
Todd is not, but Todd has come. He started from the bottom. You know what I mean? Like
Did though.
they all did, but not everyone gets to that echelon, you know? But anyway, back to your real question. Like, I think that the comic book industry is in trouble. I do think, and we've had this discussion before, and I want to delve a little into it, but I'll let you kind of lead in this. Like, people will start paying for what they want to see, right? This is why you and I are really big in supporting a lot of our favorite artists and backing their Kickstarters or their Indiegogo projects, seeing them to fruition and actually receiving a piece of work, a complete, like receiving the end project that they promised. At the quality that they promised. You know, I mean, Polito even writes in his update, this vendor didn't want to print something in our book, so we had to go somewhere else. You know, like it was that important for him to have that page in there. That he made it happen with another vendor and still met the timeline. Yes. So anyway, I'll let us talk more about that, but it's come to the reality of comic books are now covers, collections of covers. We don't read the inside. They aren't familiar to us anymore. They're familiar characters, but the storyline, they're so unfamiliar that it's like not even funny. It's so twisted.
Well, G. Gray and Emma Frost are now being paired as a couple.
It's like it is like one of those situations of, there is a problem with the comic book industry. It's slowly been happening over time to this point where this is now what happens when you reveal the weakness of what the industry is going through. And the worst part is, like I said, besides the lives impacted, is that, with Diamond holding up the distribution of the comic books to the retailers, and the retailers not even being able to be open, and the online retailers not being able to be like serviced by Diamond, well, guess what? It basically means people don't get the comic books. And then they have all of this in digital media. Why won't they release it in digital print so that people not necessarily that they have the money to buy it. We're all feeling the pain of COVID. However, I will say if they gave it not necessarily for free, but it's a distraction. It's something to keep people entertained in a world where we have to stay at home most of the day. And where we have so many options from a activity perspective that limit us to being, away from other human beings so that we don't get this sickness. So yeah, I mean, they're not releasing the digital copies of this to people who can either buy it or maybe releasing it as a freebie. Hey guys, we know Diamond has kind of held back. We wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. Here's the first half of it. Like, just something. Like, but they're not trying.
People don't want a free copy of Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan?
Remember, it's like the most popular.
Yes. That's why she's going to lead the Avengers video game. And you know what? It's funny that it takes this to show the weakness, and I think to dive into what you're talking about, it's the weakness of content, storytelling. and actually good art. And the funny thing is that comics have been around since what, World War II, World War I. We've had world wars.
And
We
it was a
had
diversion. It
we
was a
had nine
diversion.
11. We had so many global and U.S. specific events that changed our direction of travel, and yet they all had good stories, and they all catered to the core demographic of the comic book reader. And now that they've reached out to a demographic that wants a specific representation, but then don't buy it. Yeah, I mean, they talk about digital distribution, and I think Marvel Unlimited was offering free access to specific
Yes,
classic,
yes.
like Dark Phoenix, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's the Dark Phoenix that was good, that series,
Yeah, so
right?
I mean, I appreciate that they're giving you access to the ones that matter.
But
I
that's
will give them that.
but it's funny when you look into this. It's a digital is only what 10% or so of it, and it never grew.
Because people still want the hard copy. So, like, let's get into the nitty gritty here. Like, when you think about it, we were just talking about the Michael Turner collection,
Oh
which I
yeah.
think is on Indiegogo, right?
Oh, and I back that.
So there was a level, a tier, right, in there that allowed you to buy a surfboard with the collection. So you get the printed copy. You basically get the whole shebang. It's like this art book, not
Oh,
necessarily an art book. It's a collection
it's
of
yeah.
Michael Turner's work. Okay, and basically, in this collection, you could pick, like, it's a book. It's a hardcover book. There would be extra pages of Michael Turner's artwork, and Michael Turner, R.I.P. I mean, he really was. When we were talking, it's very, I hate to say it, sorry, Mark Silvestri. When I think of Witchblade, I think of Michael Turner. I'm sorry. That is the way I have always envisioned Sarah Pazzini, and then Kenneth Irons, and just that Witchblade, Michael Turner, Witchblade. That's it. So, when you think about it, so there's levels, and then there are several types of, upgrades within there that you could select, like a lenticular cover, a liquid cover
Oh
to
yeah.
house the book. Like, these are just awesome, really awesome add-ons, like, that just make it so amazing to have and own and one of a kind. And so, back to what you were saying, people actually, for comic books, they collect them. They don't collect the digital. They'll read the digital. They'll read it, but at the end of the day, they're going to buy the hard copy as a collector's item for their own collection.
Yeah, and I bought that liquid cover because it was the most unique thing I've ever seen. If they pull it off, great. I know Aspen is one of the companies that had their quote unquote hashtag pencils down to their staff, and it's unfortunate. But maybe Aspen, and I need to do my backlogging and see what Michael Turner's creations were before he died. I think that's going to be the new model. If you have a product that people are willing to pay for things like a liquid cover, people are going to go to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and that's where you're going to see it. You've seen Ethan Van Sciver, 450 grand, 450K,
Yeah,
and
Brian
he's still
Polito.
going. He's going to probably still go, and
Well,
he's
yeah, and that's where these companies like Indiegogo, we had this conversation as well. Kickstarter and Indiegogo, they're like, yeah, bring it on, because we know for a fact that Ethan is going to bring it, and we are going to make money off of it. Like, that is, like, you know what I mean? Like, but it goes to show you there is a market for it, because someone out there bought a surfboard with Fathom on it for Michael Turner.
yeah. It was a 20. That was 2005.
That was a $2,000 pledge. Okay, someone out there really wanted a surfboard. I
I
think.
mean, like
How
also,
many surfboards were there? There were like 5.
I think
Someone
like
out there.
yeah, and I think Ethan's Cyberfrog Wreck Planet, someone paid 5 to be sketched into the page, and someone paid 10 grand for the original art of the Ides of March cover, which I thankfully got before he pulled it away. That being said, there's a market. There's a market, and if you have product, you will be successful. And this is where I wanted my topic to go. This is a surprise topic that shouldn't actually surprise you. Title of this stream is called "If the Comic Book Industry Dies." So, if the comic book industry dies, Lumpia, give me 3 comic book pros that you know of that should own an IP should Image, DC, or Marvel die.
Oh my God, J. Scott Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
J. Scott Campbell comes to mind. He would be the first.
No, but what would what would be the
Oh,
the
you mean
property?
from Marvel? Like which?
No, if it's property of Marvel, a property of DC, a property of any like of the mainstream. DC owns Image now.
Yes.
So the question is, so J. Scott Campbell, what property do you want him to have to own as his own umbrella? This is his company. He owns this IP now.
Oh, you know what? To be honest with you, J. Scott should own whatever is like related to Sony and the Spider-Man universe.
So you think he should own Spider-Man?
This basically what Sony owns because I think he does such a great job on it. Black Cat, like I feel like he's revitalized the whole Black Cat like thing with his covers, believe it or not.
Wow, that's a shocker.
Story. It's not even the story. It's like, but like, I would want him. I know where you're going, but I was thinking, like, I thought of your question as more like around, like, what could he own? Like, that was probably a lot more mainstream than anything else.
No, like it's all free game. So if you, because actually, you know what? Who I think would do Spider-Man better? I think Todd McFarlane would do.
Oh, he would totally. But I think he'd probably. I would like him to take like the Venom, Carnage part of Spider-Man. Like I want him to take the darker side of Spider-Man. But
the Peter Parker, Mary Jane.
Yes, like I just associate that with J. Scott. But I know where you're going in that. You know, I don't know the background on this, but I know that J. Scott has not drawn Gen 13 in a long time. He doesn't even. We talked about this. He doesn't even promote it. It's like he never did it. Mm-hmm. It's like we can't talk about it. Mm. The thing that cannot be named is Gen 13.
Oh, I tried to tease it a little bit out of him, and he just kind of. I think when I asked him about it, he had this nostalgic laugh, but it was like there was something to it about Gen 13. I really believe that was his baby. It got pulled rank on him.
Yeah.
I really believe. I don't know the story fully, but I think they pulled rank on him, corporate him. And he had to put it away.
Yeah, I do. I really do. And like I said, I don't know everything, but I know when I think of Gen 13, I honestly think of J. Scott. So whatever happened, I mean, as sad as it is, it happened. But if I could give him back Gen 13, I would. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he wants it though. Like I just, a part of me also thinks like, maybe that's a pass he just doesn't want. You know what I mean?
But wait, hey, if Image dies, all the IPs are for sale, and he gets it on the cheap. This is us shooting the breeze and saying if money wasn't an object.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd love him to take on. Honestly, like I said, I would love him. I love what he's done for that part of the universe, like the Black Cats, the Spider Gwens, the Mary Janes. Like, I don't even read it. I just buy the cover. Like, it's like, you know what I mean?
It'd be interesting. Like, I would only want, like, with J. Scott, like, I think what I'd want him to do is be the steward. And if he had his team of people he trusted, like, if he was his own company, like, president or CEO of his own comic book company, like, this is me saying that. He doesn't have to do every page.
Yeah.
But like that's what I'd say is that I actually thought that was interesting. I didn't expect you to say that first when you said J.
Yeah, Scott. I mean, because I thought of it as in like he would, you know, I know where you're going. Like, I would want him to have Gen 13 back. I don't know what happened that he couldn't, but that's what I would want him to have. Like, if he could buy a property other than the obvious, is where I was going with your question.
No, this is great. This was better than what I expected.
Yeah,
'cause
like then the other person that comes to mind is he doesn't do it anymore, and I don't even know that he has time. But I would want Mad to have the X-Men back.
oh my
Yeah.
god, that's the what I was gonna say. You
He-
read my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think we think the same on this because we grew up with X-Men on Uncanny X-Men and Mad. Like, so I will preface Uncanny X-Men with Mad because that was what I grew up with. That was what we grew up with. That was where like the love of comics began. And that is why I say that one would be Mad. Because
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because I was looking at Darksiders. I was playing it, and I know it's a little more of a serious apocalyptic thing, but the reason why I thought Mad was a bit more of a fit with the X-Men was that when I look at that, and then you're a little bit more well versed with Battle Chasers, but my expectation is that I think that he would do the X-Men justice because he would do it seriously. But at the same time, there's a bit of it's not like hardcore. Like we're not talking Brian Pulido heads are rolling here, like La Muerta, which by the way I'm excited because La Muerta seems to be the next Kickstarter project.
That's awesome.
But it's not like that serious, like that hardcore. But I think Mad could do it in a way where we know he could play the X-Men well. Like you could see it in the art. He got the kind of the annotations of the characters well and the way he drew.
No, I mean,
like he could do serious.
What was that? The freaking 100th issue?
Like 150 or 100? I think it was Uncanny 100.
Uncanny one. I don't know. I forget. Let me just tell you, when they were playing baseball. When
that was the best one.
Were playing baseball. Like, I mean, that was such a wonderful, different thing. And I know the writer also had something to do with that, but like the way it was done on the panels, the pages, is something I always remember for Mad. So yeah, I mean, most people know him from. I didn't mean to. I think
that was awesome though.
Like, but I mean, Deadpool. Everyone knows Mad from Deadpool Circle Chase. Like, I mean, it's like I said. Like he really, like X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, if anything, should go back to him.
I think the whole X-Men universe should. If he this is if money wasn't an object. If he wanted to build up his I don't know. I forgot his company now. No, but he has because Darksiders has been churning out games.
Yeah,
and then Battle Chasers is supposedly going to be in chapter 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
He announced his team. Well, actually, no, he announced that he has a team. He just never announced the team.
Who the team was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Any more thoughts on Mad before I get my
Nope. I'd like to hear your view. It'd be interesting.
So I would have said the obvious that if he was alive, Witchblade would have gone to Turner, but reality is, rest in peace. He's passed on. I actually would want Witchblade and her universe to go to Jamie Tyndall.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Because
I think it would be done so well.
He again, we've seen in New York Comic Con. He's probably strict about White Widow. And in terms of property, sorry, not like Iron Fist, but we've seen he's very, very careful about
timelines, everything. Like he cares a lot about the property.
I think it needs a bit of the writer, and maybe I probably should do some reviews of my thoughts of White Widow so far. I think the writer for White Widow would not be the best one. I think that you need something a little bit more darker tone. So he would need a writer that's a bit more darker, but he could he would protect the property if he wanted to like own Witchblade. That's and that universe. That to me would seem to me more the fit because I can't have Michael Turner my favorite. I can't have him because
Yeah.
he's not here.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the question would be since you stole my Joe Mad thunder.
Well, what about DC? Like, have any thoughts on any DC properties and who you think could carry the torch? Because that was where I would have probably gone next too.
So I think for me, it's very tough because I really only know Batman.
Yeah, so like let's put it in that perspective, Batman, because he's probably the most popular property besides Superman.
Batman's a dark person. Like it's a dark world. I don't like this whole Batman is really sad he got left at the altar and all that stuff.
Catwoman's having his baby. You didn't know?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yep. It's
Wait, so does this mean that we're gonna get Batman Beyond?
I don't know what it means, but I know that she's pregnant with his baby.
Well, that's about time, right? That's about time that they
Exactly.
they didn't cover it or whatever, right?
Yep.
I guess so. But that's a good question because who would do a dark, like who would be dark enough for that? Like Neil Gaiman? I don't know. Neil Gaiman's more Sandman. I mean, that's like, who would be dark enough in your opinion?
I have some thoughts on it. Like, if you want to go dark tone, I don't mind giving it to Todd. I think, but I know Todd loves Spawn so much. But I think he'd get the right people running it. Mm-hmm. What I do think is that, I actually am happy with the way Jim Lee is running some of those properties. I don't keep up to date with them as much, but I think Jim Lee's art works well with it. It could be a different writer per se, but I think Jim Lee's done a pretty decent job on the artwork for Batman, what I've seen, and just helming that Batman brand. Besides, I know I get it, but at some point Batman, I guess in a weird way, they're taking him into a different direction. They want him to be a family man, if they go that route, I think sticking with Jim Lee is fine. If you want to go dark, go to Todd McFarlane. I think he could do it well and balanced.
That'd be kind of cool. Batman versus Spawn.
Yeah, exactly.
There
might have been something like that in the past. I don't know.
What, like Witchblade and Tomb Raider?
Yeah, exactly. Which I know I have somewhere.
God, oh my god, this. What would be cool is if they brought back Wetworks.
Oh my god, I loved that comic book series. They were all taken in by some alien symbiotes or whatever. It's such a crazy.
Ooh, I have a suggestion. I actually G.I. Joe. I think should go to Richard C. Meyer, the man who made Jawbreakers.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
So the backstory I don't think you know is that your boy Zach, Richard C. Meyer, he was inspired by G.I. Joe to serve in the military.
Oh wow!
And that was his because he loved G.I. Joe, and that comic book then lead him to a path to get to comic books. So I'm not going to rehash the history of his journey and his legal troubles with another comic book pro, but I actually think he would. I think when I pick up his videos, he loves G.I. Joe and he hates what's going on with it. So I think that'd be another one, a comic skater who I think should own a property. Though I have to actually now back Expendables because when do you ever see a comic book that has the likeness of the actors like Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, Jet Li, and Dolph Lundgren?
That's awesome.
Yeah, because normally they don't look like them, but I think they must have did a deal with Sylvester Stallone.
I wish that they made a little bit more of the signature copies, from Sylvester Stallone. I thought that was kind of neat.
Oh, what is it? 10 grand, right? To get a
Yeah, and
Sylvester
again,
Stallone.
people bought it
It's
because it
sold
sold
out.
out. Sold out.
But to be fair, how do you get how do you get Sylvester Stallone's signature? Unless you,
Yeah, unless
yeah,
you know him, like unless he's never at any Comic Cons, like you know
no,
what I mean. Like, yes, I agree with you.
yeah.
And again, people will pay. People will pay, and they will pay for the physical copy. I mean, I struggle when I go on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and I'm like, do I want the digital or do I want the physical copy? And I'm like, yeah, I want the physical copy. Even though I'm probably not going to read it because it's more for like collectible for me, I will want the physical copy. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a market for it. There are people that will pay for it, and I think that this is the true test for comic books. Like, I think there's always going to be comic books. You can't just eradicate like you can't just eradicate that entire like industry. I
It's just
do
gonna live in. It's gonna live on an Indiegogo
Yeah,
Kickstarter. I
it's
think.
gonna live on in different ways, and even Marvel had to cancel some titles. I heard.
Ooh, ooh, Brian
Like,
Pulido with Batman, or is that too much?
oh, that would be
That's
too
too
much.
much.
That would be too much. That would be just too much.
Actually, that's a good idea. I should catch up. So I finally got the Brian Pulido trade paperback for
Oh, nice.
so I need to catch
Yeah.
up on Lady Death, and it
And
was
what better
great.
time than now? What
Yeah,
better time than now?
and,
Seriously.
and somebody needs to make Jason. Somebody needs to make Jesse Whitman rich because that art is beautiful.
You
Just
know, fun fact, he's actually a tattoo artist.
that's why he really makes detailed armor for
I
Lady
know.
Death.
I love that that contest that Brian Pulido had where you
Oh, yeah.
color the Jesse Wickman. Like,
No, but it's like be the next Sanju, and I'm like, oh, Sanju.
and I'm like, man, you really start to appreciate the colorist, you know, because the little line, like the little shading effects, like, you know, I mean, I remember, like I said, when we were at Comic Con, Jamie was very particular about the colors used for White Widow's eyes, you know, like,
Yeah, yeah. It was like a dispute over the way her eyes were represented.
yep,
And
yep,
I was like, that's Jamie. Jamie's very it's that same mentality. This is my IP. It's got to look a certain way.
yep.
So that's why I think if he wanted Witchblade, I think he would protect Sarah.
Yeah,
That's to me what's important. He would protect Sarah.
exactly. And we wouldn't be running into all these other like random like
Random
whatever.
things.
Yeah.
Um, I think we'll wrap it up here, but this was fun. We're just gonna have to keep an eye on this. I think our prediction and a lot of folks' predictions that comic books are gonna go to Kickstarter, Indiegogo. The Marvel DC properties comics will probably die off or get licensed to IDW, and that Marvel, since that's Disney, they're gonna just hold on to the IP. DC is owned by Warner Brothers. They're gonna hold on to the IP
Yeah.
until the superhero
But
movies don't
maybe
make
what they
money.
do is they hold on to the IP for media, like TV, web, like, but from a comic book perspective, it goes, like you said, to the Indiegogo and Kickstarter because it's pretty much based on need, based
Wait,
on, you
yeah.
know,
And by the way, so there was the Witchblade Kickstarter for Volume One, which was the Michael Turner one. That
yep,
was by Top Cow, the company.
yep.
Aspen has been making this, the Michael Turner collection. I think you're seeing that those folks are looking at the avenue and saying, excuse me, if we have the product, people will buy it, and they're
Yep.
seeing the success. So,
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I will say you're not stuck over promising on the printing. They
mm-hmm,
are literally, I will say, Sora, who does Aurora and Cardinal Confessions, like she only prints a certain quantity for every tier. And
mm-hmm,
it says it there. Like if we run out, we run out. So like I'm pretty sure everyone else does. Like within the tier, they have to cap it, meet whatever quota criteria, and it's it. That's it. No more. And it actually makes the value better for the comic book. It makes the It makes it, like I said, special for the people buying into the tier because it's a true collectible, and it puts them in a position where they're not overspending. This is truly a managing correctly versus I feel like Marvel has second and third prints of things for certain ones, and then they go back to like normal on others, but yet they have 20 million titles out there.
And they force
Um,
comic book stores that if you want one copy of the J. Scott variant in your store,
you have to have, yeah, this quota.
20,000 of Miss Marvel. And that's
Yep,
why Miss Marvel Kamala Khan is one of the number one top selling comic book series ever.
yep.
Because it's so great. Everyone's buying it, right? God, I can't get over this.
So yeah, so like I said, I think that that's what we'll start seeing. And you know what's better? It's better that it's that way. It's better that we're not overproducing. It's better that it's based on need, true need of people. Because like we're not expending resources that don't need to be on certain things that people are not reading. Like I said, it's good to have choices and options and different, like there are a lot of other comic books that are independent that are pretty cool. Like The Wicked and Divine is is a really good comic book. It's very indie, like, but it's actually by Kieran Gillen, and it's very different, very cool about gods and people coming back as gods, and they only have a certain amount of time in life, so like they before they die, and so it follows them. And then Saga, I heard, is a good comic book as well. I think they're all under the Image umbrella now, if not.
Yeah, Image has gone down this road where instead of it being the bad boy, bad girl, um, superhero thing, it's like more of a
Yeah,
like that
something like
storytelling
yeah,
and
something like Sandman.
morality,
Like Sandman was
morality.
really
Yeah,
cool, like for its time. Sandman, Death, like Lucifer, Constantine.
I
I
forgot
think,
Lucifer was a like that show, right? That it was a comic
yeah.
book.
Oh, it's such
Yeah,
a great
I
show. Like
forgot about that.
it's so anyway, like I said, like it was under the Vertigo imprint.
That's it. Yeah, because Vertigo was under DC, and then they closed Vertigo.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Vertigo imprint was that those types of comics that weren't necessarily superheroes, but like different, definitely something you would want in a comic format of a story, but something like so different, like that it didn't fit in the normal superhero theme. So yeah, so like I said, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it and go from there.
Yeah, and I've got some unboxings because I have a lot of Kickstarter stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe
and
I'll
your
share.
Big Bad unboxing, we have to do that when it comes in. Your
Which
mystery
one?
box,
The which one?
your J Scott mystery box that you ordered.
Oh yeah, this would be great. Anyway, so let's wrap it up, and maybe we'll hopefully come at you with a next episode of the Sith Justice Warriors podcast, the official one. But I hope you enjoyed the variant. So have a good week and stay safe, social distance, and help the Corona Beer Company by drinking some Corona if you legally can. Bye, everyone.
Bye.